Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm back and I'm here to look at the energies for this week with today's Monday's Musings on the 9-9 portal, no less. I'm going to do the reading a little bit different today and we are going to look into the energies, how to best navigate them on a collective and individual level. And as always, if anything resonates, fantastic, and if it doesn't, it wasn't supposed to. And there feels like there's an element almost of permission there, not to take on board what no longer relates to where we are, or indeed who we are. So that being said, I invite you to join me for the next half hour or so to grab yourself a cup of tea, pause this video, and I shall see you when you return. Welcome back. It feels very important this week, as with any week really, that we get ourselves comfortable for the information that is trying to come through, that we recognise when we are in a safe environment, when we feel more prepared, we are more open to receive. We are on the 9-9 portal, and if the hints are to be acted upon, and there's something in that this week, at the end of this video I will be doing a meditation for the 9-9 portal. However, that being said, it feels very valid that we recognise where we are. When it comes to portals in particular, over the last few years, they've become a bit of a buzzword, as in they are the only days like new moons and full moons that are worth doing anything about anything, and if we don't, then we've missed a wonderful opportunity. Now, a portal is an opening, it's a potential, and yes, numerically, the vibration has a certain essence to it. So today on the 9-9 portal, we are talking endings and also with that completion and new beginnings. However, none of them are actually possible unless we take space and hold ourselves firm in where we are. So we're in an 8 year, which means we actually have 3 9s, and that reminds me of the 999 emergency call. What is actually being called to be heard today is going to be the most pivotal thing that we can do, rather than jumping ahead, rather than trying to get rid of things, to really feel into the at times unnecessary discomfort we may be placing ourselves in by wanting to ironically avoid it. So that being said, let's look at the energies on a day-to-day basis this week and how to best navigate it. I suggest that you get a diary or a pen and piece of paper and just jot down anything that may come to you. Dot down. It does feel a little bit this week as if there's an opportunity to join the dots, but we need to pause. We need to be an open portal ourselves in order for that information to come through, and it's a bit like Morse code. It's a bit like trying to understand the messages in a language that we may not have used or may have been flippant in how we use it. There's a lot coming through in regards to channeling. There's a lot coming through in regards to looking at the conversations that we are having, not just with other people, but with ourselves as well, and whether or not they're supporting a wider collective narrative or merely our own. That's not to say they don't support our narrative. Of course, a lot of the things that we experience become the medicine that we then share. However, are we sharing the medicine or are we sharing the wound this week? And are we being a solution or are we adding to the need for one? There's no right or wrong, there's no judgment there, but there is a need for awareness. So how do we get to that level of awareness? During my sabbatical, some really obvious but quite profound things came forward in regards to why I share and where I share from. And this longing to belong and this longing to feel safe. We all long to feel safe, and that is not only safe in our own environment, but safe to be who we are and accepted as who we are. From that point of view, we flourish, we grow into, not that we're not already our potential, but into a more embodied version of that. Nothing's hidden. We are all aspects of ourselves. And we all long for this. Not necessarily just from other people, but from ourselves. That's probably the hardest part, actually, is the self-acceptance. We often talk about wanting other people to see us and know who we are, but 9 times out of 10 it comes from our own desire to be okay with who we are. And that includes not being okay. So how do we get into this space of awareness where we don't judge ourselves, where we don't hold ourselves back, where we don't push ourselves unnecessarily forward? Well, we come into that place. We come into that acceptance within. In order to do that, we have to feel safe. We have to feel held. We have to feel as if we're not going to be reprimanded or punished, or, for most of the human species, pushed out of the tribe, out of the family, if we dare to be who we are. As a species, we need to belong as part of a larger group in order to survive. It's also how we evolve. We can only get so far. After the sabbatical, I ummed and ahed about coming back, but we can only get so far with our own wisdom. So we go from recognizing the importance of alertness. Now, currently we live in a society where it can almost be frowned upon if we have fight or flight reactions or fawn reactions or whatever they may be. We haven't regulated our nervous system. However, centuries ago, to feel things and be aware of things would have been our survival. Now, yes, we're not being chased by whatever animal we would have been chased by back then, but we are still in a culture of a lot of fear-based scenarios. And our body is this incredible tool that will pick up on things that don't feel safe for whatever reason. Now, trying to breathe through that, trying to fix that, trying to get rid of that is actually saying to the body, that thing that has helped you survive your whole existence, I now no longer need. What is being encouraged in us all is to recognize that alertness is a step towards awareness. Alertness and feeling into actually what is going on here is a step towards being safe. Not in our environment, not in our external values or views or opinions of others, but within ourselves. If we can feel what is going on, holding space for those emotions in that present moment, then what happens is all other potentials open up. That alertness becomes a more expanded awareness, and from that more expanded awareness, we then can start to bring in things and start to think about what we want to do with this in the future. And on a whole other level, start to heal aspects of our past as well. But none of this is possible. That's what I'm getting at today. None of this is possible. Moving through portals, closing things off, completing cycles, new beginnings, whatever you want to call it, unless we can be present in the alertness that we feel. So today, if you take anything from this reading, if you take anything from the whole portal energy, recognizing every moment is a portal of potential. Every moment is a chance to take things that we are being made alert to and do something about them. And that's where our awareness expands. It's not to say we have to fix things or change things. There may be situations that we want to, that aren't sustaining us, that aren't helping us to be the best version that we can be. And by the best version, I don't mean that we're not good enough in that moment. By the best version, I don't mean that we have to grow, that we have to stretch, that we have to keep doing. That's all going to happen anyway. What I mean is to be the most embodied version of all aspects that we are, because that expands our awareness. That also then expands our potential. So if we believe that we are this one version of ourselves, and everything our body tells us is to be ignored, to be meditated away, to be healed or whatever, to be not accepted, then we are really missing out on what that version could bring forward. So with that being said, we're going to do a meditation at the end of this reading, but for now, let's look into the energies for this week based on where we are in this present moment and how to best navigate them. There does feel like an excitement in the air. There does feel like a peace, but there also feels like a natural recognition of cycles. A natural recognition of cycles. If we look around us, particularly in the UK, the weather is dropping. We're going into that wanting to be warm, wanting to be nurtured, wanting to be held, wanting to have comfort foods, wanting to feel mothered and, really going within. That doesn't take a portal to do that. That's our normal feelings. If we can really tap into that, our body would be saying round about this time of year, okay, it's time to start looking at what I have achieved. Rather than putting in all those new things that I want to achieve, what have I achieved? To avoid creating the same thing. If we don't know where we are and we continue to create from that perspective, chances are we're going to manifest a lot of things we don't actually need anymore. So taking stock, particularly in September, to be with what we feel, to really ground into our body, to really ground into the cycles around us, to really ground into the alertness that initially may be uncomfortable when we don't feel like we can handle it, when we don't feel like we want to go there, when we have our own judgments on it. But if we can provide a safe environment for ourselves, whatever that may be, then we can take that alertness to awareness. And I'm just hearing that actually sometimes the safe environment, sometimes the very thing that we need is the one thing we're trying to avoid, or the one thing that we're frightened of, the one thing that has made us not go into that alertness in the first place. So an example, sometimes I feel like, you know, when you have a disagreement with somebody or a conflict, the first thing I want to do is get out of there. My alertness, yes, it's the fight or flight. It wants to run. It doesn't want to feel it, be in that situation. It doesn't feel safe. And I'm aware from childhood. I'm aware from trauma. I'm aware of all the reasons. So I have all that awareness. However, underneath it all is this big fear of being abandoned. It's an abandonment issue. So what's the one thing I do? I stay in that environment even though it's uncomfortable. And what I'm saying to my body is, I know how you feel and I'm just completely ignoring it. So over the last few weeks, I've actually done the one thing that I fear and been the person that gets up and walks away from the situation until I feel safe enough, grounded enough to come back to it. Now that's really simple, and you may think, well, that's a bit obvious to me. And that would be because it probably isn't your trigger. So really feeling into what makes us behave the way we do. What are we trying to avoid? And perhaps, just perhaps, by doing the thing we're trying to avoid happening, it may change the whole situation. Now, I'm not suggesting you get up and walk away from a conversation that's really quite in depth in your life and needs facing or whatever, but I am suggesting you do whatever it takes to feel safe enough to continue with that alertness so that it can be developed into an awareness. Imagine you came into hospital, or you're delivering a child and you didn't know that you were pregnant, and you're going through this pain and you don't know what's going on. You're not going to feel safe. However, when you're aware of what's going on, when you're aware of the process and then have that safe environment within that awareness, things become more manageable. Not even more manageable, it's not even more easier. We recognize our ability to do what it is we need in order to continue expanding and evolving. So, hanged around at the bottom of the pack. Okay, so really seeing our emotions from a different perspective here, almost from an upside down, skew-if kind of thing. You know, Einstein said you can't change things by doing the same thing over and over. So if you found that you've tried doing something and it really hasn't worked, perhaps trying something different, and it may feel as if it's like the total other end of the spectrum, but that could just bring in the change that is required. So, you know, in particular, when we want things to change, the last thing we want when we're trying to complete a cycle is to stay where we are. However, sometimes just by being present, those things will automatically shift anyway. By recognizing that we're the portal constantly and allowing these things to go through us, observing, witnessing, letting them move without attaching too many stories to them, allowing this energy emotion just to keep shifting. Our body knows what to do. As its guardian, it's our responsibility to ensure it feels safe enough to do that. So what does that look like for you? For me, it's nature. There's nothing like putting my headphones on. I'm really blessed to live in the middle of nowhere, and at the back of me there's just woodland and hills, and there's nothing I like more than putting my headphones on, singing at the top of my voice and dancing while I'm walking my dog, who bizarrely looks at me like there's something terribly wrong with me as I sound like a screeching cat. But I'm letting it out and I'm connecting to the earth and I'm feeling and I'm moving. Just because we're sat with something and witnessing it and not doing as the world perceives doing doesn't mean we're not doing. things are still moving. So what do you need in order to help you feel safe enough in that, confident enough in that? What do you need in order to help you feel as if you're doing something? Maybe clean your home, maybe go for a walk, maybe meditate, maybe journal. There are other ways to complete cycles also. It doesn't always have to be a external action, particularly with the 9 energy. The 9 energy is very much internal. So think of the Hermit in the tarot cards. The 9 energy is very internal. So what is being completed within you, and what do you need in order to just witness and hold space for that? Anyway, 14 minutes, so energies this week and how to best navigate them. So there's definitely an emphasis there of going with the flow. And, you know, I kind of hear myself, not berating myself, but I wanted to do things differently. But there's also an acceptance of what works, what works, and letting go of any expectation, particularly if it's born from it not being enough. So my urgency to do this reading differently would be coming from is this relevant? Are people going to need this? Maybe they need something else. So trusting yourself to be you, and allowing everything else around you to unfold, to just unfold. Okay. There is insecurity there. I can feel that in my root chakra, but it's an insecurity in the heart because I feel the heart trying to expand as well. Just breathe. Just breathe. We make a lot of it a lot more fancier than it needs to be. Just breathe. Just be with your body. Be with what is occurring right now. Trust your ability to do so. And if you do need support, then seek that support to just be present with what is going on. Okay. So overall, we have the 4 of Wands here. And when I say about dancing up on the hill and just allowing things to move, I adore this card because it's very symbolic of that. Okay, so what can help you rediscover your own rhythm, your own cycles, and your own nature here? What can help you really come into, again, it's not about growing beyond who you are, because in every moment you are part of your potential. It's more about embodying it. It's more about stepping into all aspects of yourself and allowing that to move, allowing that to shift the changes naturally this week. So of course today we have the King of Cups. There is a real emphasis there of being very sensitive and emotionally mature in our actions, sitting with them, allowing them to move us perhaps, allowing these emotions to move us, to work with them, not against them, to hold them for the consort to source that they are. These emotions are a smaller version of what is actually going on collectively around us. So feeling it. Yes, of course they have our stories because we're being asked to clear that and to help others in the same situation to do that. But what is beyond that? What is really going on? What are we feeling here? It's a deepening connection with our own internal source. And with the support of the King of Cups today, we can really find, I'm actually being drawn to say to get near water, even though it's chucking it down outside. But sometimes when we get near what we're feeling, so waves are very much like emotions, when we can be near what it is we're feeling, when we can witness it externally, we can see just how beautiful it is. You know, when we see waves going up and down, we can look at them and think, gosh, they're powerful, they're beautiful, they're this, they're that. But when we feel all these up and down emotions, they're such an inconvenience, right? Sometimes seeing things externally, or not sometimes, to see things externally allows us to look at the perspective we have of that reflection within. So really feeling into that today and having some compassion. Compassion is key. There does feel as if there's an energy, in particular with the masculine, that needs to almost step up and protect now, to protect the wisdom of these emotions, to protect the wisdom and the sensuality and the beauty of the feminine, because that's what this is, and we all have that within us. On the Tuesday, provided we feel safe enough on the Monday, we have the Ace of Cups, and there's a beautiful heart-opening opportunity here. It almost feels like I want to add more to that. So let's go into that. Going into the need for it to be more than just from the heart. When did the joys of the heart, the truth of the heart, the communication and the light of the heart become not enough? Really sensing into that and holding that quite steady, allowing what we give, what we receive, to be the very emphasis of our prayers. There's something here in regards to sacred receptivity. I've been doing a lot of community work, community play, community projects the last few weeks, and there's a garden down the road from me that I've been helping out with the herbs and the medicinal herbs and just, digging things up. And the other day, just on a whim, we can be who we are without it being a job or without it being a personality, or we can really embody that potential in who we are. And I went there and, there was some healing that went on. There was healing for the land. There was all these different types of work, right? I do my bit, and then at the end of it I harvest some vegetables, and then at the end of that I ate those vegetables in a salad. And there was something so basic, so primal, and yet so underrated and beautiful in regards to this sacred receptivity. And Tuesday we could really have the opportunity to feel into that, to be very aware of the work that we put in and how much more sweeter that makes the fruits taste, but also receiving the fruits, not forgetting to receive the fruits as well. Keeping that balance, keeping the work, the harvest, and the consuming of what we've harvested all in balance, all on the same energetic level in regards to our heart. Does it sustain our heart? Does it sustain the vision that is held within our heart? On the Wednesday, it might not. On the Wednesday, we have the Page of Cups, and there's a little bit of pigs may fly type energy here. There's a little bit of discombobulation here, not feeling very grounded in our emotions. A bit of a dreamer type energy. Just need to pause, and it's important to pause in that. All too often, we can see being ungrounded. We can see being discombobulated. Love that word. We can see being a dreamer as unrealistic. We can really start to question our heart, question our imagination, and particularly with inner child wounds on the Wednesday, not want to get our hopes up and almost try and protect that. Allow yourself to dream on the Wednesday. Allow yourself to think what if, to feel what if, to, it feels like this portal is almost a whole week-long procession. I want to say a whole week-long process. We start to feel into our emotions at the beginning of the portal on the actual day, but it continues. So we've felt things, we've opened our heart, and now we're allowing things to come in, which includes our imagination and our dreams. On the Thursday, that brings forth then the first major arcana that we have. So the beginning of the week, it can really feel as if we're seeking guidance, but there's no real answers. They're in here. They're in here. Discovering the questions first internally and then getting the answers. And on the Thursday, that comes in the card of the star, our vision. Yeah, recognizing that everything we feel is also part of what we're trying to create. It's also part of the vision. So we may think, oh gosh, this is coming up again. An example, I'd love some land to work on. And I continue to have these financial waves coming up in my energy to be looked at. And I think, oh gosh, really, I thought I'd done this. But actually the vision needs some finances. It needs some hefty finances to be put into it. So of course, as part of that vision, I'm being asked to clear whatever may be in the way of that. So on the Thursday, really feeling into whatever has come up for you and recognizing it's part of the vision, it's part of the induction, the initiation into being a guardian of creating whatever it is your heart desires, but also recognizing that the universe desires that also on the Thursday. On the Friday, yes, there are going to be some hindsight views of lessons. And I really feel that under my solar plexus. There's a lot coming about the heart, but also the solar plexus is being very, very opened over the next few weeks in particular. But with this portal and with the full moon, the solar plexus is being stretched to almost step in like a big brother and let the heart have a bit of just a bit of a relaxing time. There are going to be some humorous lessons that we may have found. What I'm seeing now is the humorous fluid in the back of the eye. Things we may find in how we have seen things and the impact we have had on how we have seen things, but also what we have created as a result. And we have two choices here. So this is the Hierophant card, and normally in the tarot, the Hierophant card could be quite dogmatic, and when I feel into that, there's confusion there. So on the Friday, going with what you feel rather than what you think it should be is going to be key. The Hierophant can be quite dogmatic, so we can look at these lessons and go, fucking hell, I should have known better. I saw this one coming, or oh my God, or even the other side, I knew this. Okay, but and what? So I can really feel that I'm reverting back to how I used to be. And on the Friday, there's a comfort coming with that. There's a recognition of knowing that we were always enough along the way, that we didn't actually need to change who we were. We just needed to stand in that and to embody that. And the lessons have all been about that. The opening the heart, the emotions, the vision, all of it have been about that, because the vision is who we are also. What we're trying to achieve is who we are. Okay, so stepping into that, living the dream. I'm, as I say, helping out at the local community on some land, and it's not my land, but it's part of the dream. It's so close that it's helping me on a frequency level become the portal for that dream. So what can you do that's going to help you really step into the vision that you have for yourself, or what you're longing for? And on the Friday, what we can do is look at this card. So the Hierophant normally, as I mentioned, is very dogmatic and can be very hierarchical. Here he's just laughing. On the Friday, give yourself the gift of humor. You are here to experience things. We're all here to experience things. We're all going to have moments where we go, twat. It's okay. It's really more than okay, because what that does is that lightens up the situation. There's sometimes the vision can become so serious. So I remember as a midwife meeting a lot of parents that would be so concerned about how they were going to be as a parent, it would stop their labor. Don't let the perfectionism get in the way of you achieving your dream this week. And I really feel that in the heart. I feel as if the heart has almost been stroked back so much it's quite raw, and it feels like an arrow through the chest. So whatever caught your attraction about a person, a situation, a dream, whatever Cupid whacked into you, go back to that. Go back to that initial falling in love with whatever it was you're trying to achieve. Return. Yes, portals are about completions, but they don't always mean that we move on or away from something. They can mean that we return back to something. In the medicine wheel, when we complete a cycle, we're in the west, we're in with the thunder beings and the Heoka and the sacred clown, but also death, but death not from a situation, recognizing it was part of us and bringing it back home. It's shown us what it needs to show, like a mirror that's been held up. So let's now bring that back home with a bit of humor on the Friday. And yes, of course you did know, but you just forgot that you knew, and that's okay. It's part of it. You know, there's this whole emphasis of being awake. This person is woke. We have to be asleep in order to wake up, and we're constantly asleep and awake. We're constantly dreaming consciously while we're awake and thinking about things and putting things in motion. And then there's other times where we're human. We've had a shitty day at work and we find ourselves being quite gnarly and we get caught and we get brought up on that, and that's okay. That's the whole point. So rather than seeing it as we should know better, we should do better, we should have learnt this, or even we've learnt all this, why are we doing it all again? Wow, what is this showing me then? Having some curiosity and having some humour. Because on the Saturday we have the Nine of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles is suggesting that we can then reach for what it is we really, really want. Interesting, it's the Nine of Pentacles. It's very much about abundance. It's very much about fullness here, but it doesn't feel like it's about anything else apart from reaching for what we want, what we really want. And being acutely aware of that, because otherwise on the Sunday, or even with that on the Sunday, we have the Nine of Swords. And if we keep our heart shut off this week, if we do not feel our emotions, if we do not allow our imagination to have a bit of fun, if we do not sense into the bigger vision and allow that to keep calling us out, because that's what it's doing, it's calling us out. If we do not accept the lessons with some humility and curiosity, if we do not find as a result what it is we actually want, come the Sunday we have the Nine of Swords. Come the Sunday we could still very much find ourselves in a nightmare where we are actually awake. So this card, she's not in bed like the other cards. She's awake. She's outside. This is her life. Yeah, and there's a lot going on around her and she cannot see what's actually going on. Thankfully, because even if that happens, what happens then? We go within. We go within and we start to wake ourselves up, not to the external, not to what's going on in the world, to what's going on within. Because only then, from knowing where we are internally, can we truly interpret what is going on externally. The other side of that, of course, is we feel our emotions, we open our heart, we dare to dream, we allow the vision to guide us, we laugh at the lessons and embrace them for the steps that they've been towards it. We go for what it is we actually want because we figured that out, and we end the nightmare. It's all choice, but also, having said that, it's all part of that Four of Wands. It's all part of finding that stability. So we can only do what we can do based on where we are. If this week we feel a few emotions and that's enough and that's all we can do, that's fine. If we feel it all and that works for us, that's fine. If we feel none of it, that's fine. Because what's important is ultimately at the end of it, it's going to show us what we want one way or another. It's going to show us perhaps where we may be confused with that and why. It's going to show us the many insights that we've had regarding a higher vision and our own faith in achieving that. And it's going to invite us this week to come back to the vibration of ourselves, to who we've been throughout, so that we can then trust and feel safe in our ability to hold space for whatever is occurring. Because the ultimate nightmare in life is believing that we can't do what we're here to do, is believing that we can't achieve or create what it is we're here to create. The ultimate nightmare in life is not believing in ourselves. So this week, one way or another, it's that is inviting us to bring to a completion. Of course, it's an ongoing process like the stairs, in the Hierophant. But this week we're being asked to actually get on the stairs, to actually recognise the path in front of us for what it is, an opportunity to see ourselves and who we are. So we have two major arcanas, and those two major arcanas are the Hierophant and the Star. Very much about seeing ourselves for the vision, very much about having faith in ourselves, very much about having faith in the vision and recognising that we are one and the same. We have a lot of water energy here with the King of Cups, Ace of Cups and the Page of Cups. It's okay to dream and actually let our actions protect that dream. Let our actions tune into that dream. Let our actions hold space for that dream. Let our actions allow our heart to feel safe enough to dream, without berating them, without cutting them short, without trying to fix them or having judgment on them. I would like money. Whoa, massive judgments on there. But thankfully I have that vision saying, well, actually, if you want this, you kind of got to do this. And being very aware of that this week. We have one Pentacle card, one Wand card and one Sword card. So the rest of the elements are very balanced and they're in that new beginning phase. What's really important this week is to know what we want, and that can come from understanding mentally what we don't want. We may not want confusion anymore. We may want the certainty of knowing what we want and then be able to go for it. We may feel totally unsure of what that is because we haven't gone within. So this week, what is going to provide that safe environment? What can we celebrate? What have we achieved? What strengths can we call up from our past or even from this present moment? They're going to help us take us through to the future. Yes, we've gone through all these things. Yes, we've experienced these things. Look at the person we've become. How can we take that forward? Are we going to take forward the medicine? Are we going to take forward the wound? It's entirely up to us this week. Okay, so Let's go into a beautiful meditation for the 9-9 portal. I invite you to pause this video to get yourself comfortable, be that in your chair or lying down if you have a chance, and I shall see you in a moment. Welcome back. So having found yourself in a comfortable position, either in a chair or lying down, or perhaps walking. This meditation can be done while walking, but please not while driving or working heavy machinery. I invite you to set an intention, to take a moment to feel into the energy today, sitting with your body or standing or walking, just taking some breaths. They don't have to be fancy breaths. They don't have to be timed. Just breathing in at a rate that is comfortable for you. And then breathing out. You can do so with your nose, with your mouth, with a combination of both. What is important is that you are aware of your breath. The very gift of life. You may feel resistant to this. You may feel as if it's going too fast for you, or as if you somehow need to breathe in a pattern that isn't right for you. You may return to a knowing deep within you from the moment you took your first breath, that this is you, this breath, this connection, like an old friend with you till the end. And just taking a moment of gratitude and perhaps a promise to focus on this a little bit more through the day. And as you breathe into your body, becoming aware how your breath brings certain areas to life and releases stress and tension. Feeding into anything that is rising for you now, or perhaps has over the last week or month or longer. Something consistently asking for your attention. And with compassion and love, from a place of a sacred witness, allowing this part of you to be heard. What does it need? What do you need to feel safe in order to do so? Perhaps some deeper breaths, perhaps a cushion, a cover, or the acknowledgement you are doing the best that you can in this moment, and a deeper trust of the process that is your life. From here, setting your own intention. What would you like for the 9-9 portal? Would you like completion? What would this look like? Would you like a new beginning? How can you bring this about? What about a moment to pause, to be, to receive? Or 5 minutes from the children who we love desperately, but every now and then we need a break from. Or perhaps a moment from our work, in our lunch break, or before we go to bed, or with a nice cup of tea. Just to be here. To acknowledge that even no intention is an intention. And to open ourselves up to how that may feel, how that may impact our lives. To completely embrace the unknown. And in this, I just invite you to connect to your body, to the vessel, the portal, the opening, the doorway, the very tool that is going to bring this forward. From here, I will mention different parts of your body with a rotating awareness. Feel deeply into those areas as they are mentioned. Coming back into your physicality. Safely. Knowing that this is your home. This body of yours. Merely here to bring your alertness to things you may now need to be aware of. To work with it, not against it. I invite you to find yourself even more comfortable where you are. Perhaps feeling deeper into your bottom on the chair, your back on the floor, your feet on the earth. And if it is safe to do so, to close your eyes and to relax your eyes, to feel the very muscles behind them softening, to keep breathing that softness into your face and your forehead, into the very follicles of your hair, into your mouth, your tongue, and the muscles of your tongue. I invite you to bring this tender compassion to your lips and your chin, to your throat, to your shoulders, to your left arm, elbow, forearm, palms of your hands, backs of your hands, thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth, little finger, back up your palm, your arms, your elbows, across your chest, down your abdomen, into your right shoulder, right arm, elbow, forearm, palm of your right hand, back of your right hand, right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger. Bringing your attention back to the palm of your right hand, forearm, elbow, arm, and shoulder. I invite you to take this softness now down your back, from the tips of your shoulder blades, down into your lower back, through your spine and your rib cage, filling your heart with a gentility and nurture of presence. Bringing this attention now to your hips, your left hip, buttock, thigh, knee, calf, ankle, the ball of your foot, the top of your foot, and all your toes. Sending this gentility down through your foot and into the ground beneath you. Receiving energy from the earth back up your feet, your toes, your left calf, your left knee, your left thigh, your left hip, into your right buttock, your right hip, your right thigh, your right knee, your right calf, your right ankle, the ball of your right foot, the back of your right foot, and all of your toes. Allowing this wisdom and love to continue to flow through your right foot into the ground beneath you, to be received back up from the earth herself, into your toes, the ball of your right foot, the back of your right foot, your right ankle, calf, knee, your right thigh, your right buttock. And now I invite you to have an awareness of the whole of the left side of your torso, allowing that to illuminate with awareness and presence, and bringing into this space the right side of your brain, bringing your awareness to both these areas with softness and gentility, moving this into the right side of your body, the whole of the right of your torso, and the left side of your brain, filling the whole of your body with your awareness and your attention. Knowing if your mind wanders, that's okay. We don't need to be angry, we don't need to be disappointed or frustrated. The mind wanders. That's what the mind does. Inviting it back gently to an awareness of your body, or allowing yourself to expand beyond your mind whilst holding this presence. Whatever works for you. There's no need to force or control, but to trust. And now, with your intention in your mind, I invite you to feel what that may look like. The peace of stillness and no intention, the release of expectation, the joy of completing something, the anticipation of something new, the concerns, the doubts, the fears, the lessons, the insights, all part of this path, all guiding energies felt within your body, bringing an alertness and awareness to where you are. Now I invite you to acknowledge where that is in comparison to what you would like to see on the other side of this portal. Where are you now? And what do you need? Who or what can help you cross any thresholds towards what you're trying to achieve? Remember that an intention is the inner tension between where we are and where we would like to be. Welcoming these doubts, welcoming any insecurities, uncertainties, not as conflict, but as guides. Acknowledging where we may not feel ready or safe is the first step to understanding what it is we now need. And the real meaning behind what it is we believe we want. Take some time with this now. And from here, decide whether you are to stay where you are for now and ensure you get and receive what it is you need to walk through at a pace that is ready for you, at a date that is ready for you, at a time that is ready for you, knowing we all deliver divinely for ourselves. Or whether you are ready to walk through to the next stage, whatever that may be for you. And if that is the case, I invite you to do so. Allowing what may not come through to now be released with ease and with grace. When you are ready in your own time, start to bring your awareness back, not to the room, not to your body because you never left, but to a more embodied awareness of where you currently are. Becoming more aware of the noises around you, perhaps moving your toes, your fingers, giving your nose a scratch or a wriggle, moving your shoulders, screwing up your face, stretching it, not opening your eyes yet if you've had them shut. Taking in a deep breath and releasing with gratitude, this time for yourself. This moment of care and alignment to where you are is the most gentle, nurturing, hopeful thing you can do towards where you would like to be. Moving your legs, stretching your arms, having a yawn if you feel the need, giving yourself a hug. Perhaps rolling onto your side if you've been on your back, or stretching out your legs if you've been sat upright. Wriggling your hips, moving your body if you need to, allowing those shifts to occur, to integrate into your body. And when ready, looking at the floor first to avoid hyper-stimulation of any lights or noises. Gently open your eyes, bringing yourself back to this present moment, which if you find difficult, I invite you to focus on something in your room, be it a window, a cup, your shoes, for 30 seconds, and then start to focus on something beyond that and beyond that, until you are fully back and present in this moment. When you feel able, I recommend that you get yourself something to eat and a drink, and perhaps take a moment, if you can, to journal or jot down anything that came to you, or just lie where you are for a moment. As with all things, there is an opportunity for energy to shift, and that needs nurture, and that needs for the space to be held. So with anything that I do, I recommend that you drink water afterwards, that you get out into nature. If anything comes up, let it come up. It's very much like having a bucket of clear water shook up and anything that was hidden underneath coming to the surface. So allowing that to come up, keeping that safe space as much as you can. Take care of yourself. Nurture your vessel for the portal that it is, while it releases anything that you now no longer need. You know where I am if you want to go over anything or share anything. That would be absolutely wonderful. And I will see you next week with the Monday's Musings, in whatever form it decides to take. See you then. Take care.